Hello and welcome to IGPP Expert Talks. I'm Heena Goswami, editorial consultant with IGPP, Institute for Governance, Policies and Politics, New Delhi. In our ongoing series about AI to talk about the challenges of academic integrity in the age of AI, today we are joined by Ms. Chaitali Moitra. Ms. Moitra is the regional director of Turnitin South Asia. She is well recognized as a leader in business development, marketing, and learning. With over 2 decades of experience across varied industry segments, she has previously served in leadership positions in organizations such as the Indo-Italian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Global University System, and Macmillan Education. Welcome to IGPP Expert Talks, ma'am.
Thank you so much for inviting me. Really look forward to this conversation with you.
So, as the regional director of Turnitin and what a position. You have played a pivotal role in advancing academic integrity across institutions in one of the most dynamic education landscapes globally. And with AI tools now readily accessible to students and educators alike, how do you see the idea of academic integrity evolving, or how do you feel that the idea of education itself and how we approach learning is evolving along with AI?
Very good question. Yes, it's changing, right? See, if you look at it, I mean, if I would elaborate a little, if you look at when we were studying, right, in the 70s, when we were growing up, and how education was done to 80s, to 90s, to 2000s, and now there's a huge difference in the way education is being perceived and the way students are look, how parents even look into education, how students even look into education, because your career options have changed, your opportunities have changed, so many streams of subjects, so many more challenges have come about also, right? It's no longer as easy because, and the pressure to perform is very high now, what it was compared to, when we were growing up. And when we were growing up in, I don't recall in class one or two, parents getting together and saying that, oh, my daughter scored so and so in maths or so and so in English. And now, I find, parents discussing grades even for children in class three. So that's how high the competition is. So you have to understand also the psychology of the student first. I think they also want something to make life easier for them, right? See, when we were doing projects, when my boys were doing projects, I tried helping out by, oh, this is this research material, this is that research material, why don't you read it? Now, probably I also help them, to give shortcuts. And now with AI, what has happened is students feel that, oh, let me just give a prompt and let me get the answer and let me just copy and paste it. So creativity is really going down. If you look at MIT, the study that they did about cognitive ability, as somebody mentioned once, I noticed in LinkedIn, oh, my son, of course not. Look at my son. He can play 2 types of video games with 3 types of console and all that. But that is not using cognitive ability. Agreeably, the child is using technology very well and very fast. But is the child applying the cognitive ability? Is the child actually doing creative writing? Are they now, one thing one has to realize that AI is definitely an enabler for education, but it cannot be replacement for teaching. It cannot be replacement for your learning. So I think, the way students view education, the way parents view education, and the way, we are looking at technology shaping our education in the coming years is evolving and changing daily. And it is striking the balance in having the ethical usage of AI, which is more important. And that's what we focus on. We don't say that don't use AI. We say to an ethical usage of AI. So integrity, if you look at it, see, some people do not think that integrity is impacted because they feel that, oh, I've used AI. I've not quoted from XYZ. But where is AI getting its resources from? Right? It is there from the net. It's there from the websites. It's there from the open source information which is there. So, from understanding that is important. Our model that we are using is based in open source foundation model from the Hugging Face company, and we did various calibration of retraining, evaluation, fine tuning, and every day we're changing. We realize that, oh, no, students are smart. They would take it from AI. They would paraphrase this. Then we went into paraphrase detection. Then now we realize they have learned how to bypass it also. So now we are looking at, what are the bypasses that are there. So there's so many ways. So education, integrity, creativity, I think the meaning is changing, and we need to understand where to strike the balance.
I must confess that I'm a PhD student myself, and I teach at one of the Delhi University colleges. And I teach history, and one of the things that usually happens in my classroom is that when students turn in their assignments, they're usually from ChatGPT, and not that I use any of the detection tools, but I just like I know my students' capabilities and their limitations, and I have an idea of what they can write and how far, what kind of efforts they put in. And these days, and a lot of them coming from middle class families or lower middle class families, competitive exam is on their radar all the time, and they repeatedly ask me what is the point of learning enlightenment or renaissance in Europe when these are not going to be going to help them in any ways. And I really struggle to explain to them that these are the skills, cognitive skills of, in a course like history, nobody expects you to remember when what happened all the time, but they expect you to be able to comprehend, to be able to read between the lines, or at least read the lines and be able to comprehend them and express well what you mean, what you understand by it. And with AI, they feel like they have done their assignment. They should be graded accordingly to the assignment. When I know where the assignment is coming from, and they feel like they'll put in all their efforts in competitive exams, clear it, and make their life. And it becomes very difficult to let them know that both are processes that are going in hand. You cannot expect to excel in a competitive exam while you're using AI for your daily task. I mean, you need to balance it. You can take help, but just to depend on AI
Yes.
tools, without even looking at what you have written, without even understanding the meanings of the words that are used in assignment, it's become a task. Um, and I have a detection tool that I look at my student, I look at their assignment, and I take up a word and I ask them the meaning of it. And usually they have no reply because they haven't read enough. Uh, but but I also understand that now AI generated content is becoming increasingly sophisticated, and maybe next time my students will put in a prompt where they ask ChatGPT to use like simpler words so as not to be caught. Tell us a little about Turnitin's AI detection tools and how has it emerged as a key resource for educators, and how reliable is this tool, and should institutions integrate it in their system, and how do they integrate it, ensuring that there's trust, fairness, and transparency. And we would love to hear more about what Turnitin has been doing and the challenges it has faced.
I'll tell you, see, the first iteration of Turnitin's AI detection ability, it was trained to detect models, including GPT-3, GPT 3.5, and variants, right? Now, our technology can also detect other AI writing tools that are based on this model, such as ChatGPT. And since launch, we have further expanded our detection abilities to include GPT-4, which is ChatGPT Plus, of course, GPT 4.0, Gemini, Llama, and tools based on these LLMs. We will continue to expand our detection abilities because the other tools are also coming up, and we do realize that, the availability is a lot more now. Now, our model is based on an open source foundation model, which is from Hugging Face company. So we undertook multiple rounds, of carefully calibrated, like retraining, evaluating, fine tuning. And what we must emphasize really is that the unique, powerful model arises from the carefully curated data we are used to train the model. So we have to, understand, we have leveraged our 20 plus years of expertise, right, in student writing. And along with the technology developed by us to extract the maximum predictive power from the model trained on that data. So our model, we focused on minimizing our false positives while maximizing accuracy for the latest generation of LLMs, ensuring that we help educators uphold academic integrity while protecting the interest of students. So that is how it is. And, if you look at our future proofing that we are doing, we are recognizing that LLMs are rapidly expanding, rapidly evolving, and we are already hard at, work building detection system for additional LLMs. Now, our focus initially has been building and releasing an AI writing detector. Initially it was restricted to GPT-3 and GPT 3.5. So we have now gone into further, other models of ChatGPT, other models of Llama, Gemini Pro. And I'm sure that, it's a continuous thing that happens. You must understand that it is, as we iterate and develop our model further, you will realize that our detection capability will also change, affecting the AI percentage score. However, for a submitted document, the AI percentage will change only if it's resubmitted again. Like example, they put it through the paraphrase and they do it. So we can actually tell that, that there has been modification. So we don't, we are not looking into, spelling, grammar, and punctuation modifications, of course. Please do remember that. We are looking into, based on, tests that we conducted on human written documents with no AI generated content in them. In most cases, what we have realized is that changes made by these free and premium tools, for checking grammar and all are not flagged as AI detector by us. So, and I think it's very important, that institutions do install AI detection system. I'll tell you why. Because see, there's a big difference, between AI detection system and between having just the plagiarism checking system, right? Because it is, they will talk about source. Like if you look at a TFS or a similarity, it will talk about a source. Okay, you did not give the right copyright, you didn't, mention from where the code was taken. But over here, to understand whether AI has written, like you said about your students, see, such a wrong concept they have. For marks, they're writing a paper. Now, tell me how many, be very honest, how many instructors are like you who will spend the time to actually discuss this with the student? And that is what is required. So if you have a detector and if it's officially there, it will enable you to at least understand, okay, there has been some AI, usage that has happened, or paraphrase, or some kind of, work that they've done. And you can engage in a conversation and ask them. See, even your student may say, okay, for history, why do I need to know, about Renaissance and what, but how has art evolved? See, if you've taken a subject, then you need to understand, how the cultural ethos of a country is based also on the transitioning and the cultural changes that has happened over centuries, right? So if you have taken a subject, it's very important for one and very crucial to get into, because if they go in for higher studies also, they would need to know that. And also, what does it speak about them? See, when you look at a corporate job, they may be thinking, okay, I will give my IFS exam. That means you have to get into the depths of things. How will the country progress if every student or every citizen that comes about says that, it's based on shallow knowledge, do not want to get into the depths of things? Then we will come at a stage of stagnation as a country also. Because, knowledge is something, if you have it in you to want to learn, then that will be there even in your corporate life. And frankly, they should realize that even in corporates, like we have customers who are banks, we have consulting firms which are our customers, we have large research organizations, we have foundations, so many different types of customers. That means where everybody is using an AI detection tool or some kind of a tool to detect whether there has been a compromise on integrity. So, you might wonder, why are banks using it then? Right. So they, it's not that easy that, they think that even government, if you look at so many government departments, they use AI detection tool. We have customers which are there in the government. So there, it's better to inculcate integrity in anything that we do in our learning, in our writing from an early age, so that this habit is inculcated, from childhood. Frankly, it should start from your school and not wait till college, or your PhD.
Oh, life is still to hit my students hard, but I'm definitely going to highlight this part and tell them that listen, everyone is using AI detection tools, so better be aware.
Of course.
Other than the, limitations you mentioned of the current plagiarism tools that exist, in your experience working with institutions, what were some of the, some of the most common gaps that institution face tackling AI-enabled plagiarism? Is it other than just the limitations of the tools themselves, is it also about faculty training, policy formulation or
Of
student
course, I
engagement?
think every institution should have a policy, but its policy cannot be a matrix. It cannot be marks, it cannot be a percentage. See, what we always tell, even with plagiarism tool, we have told people that please, don't look at it as plagiarism, look at it as integrity. Don't go by a score benchmark, 10%, 15%. That 10% may be the most crucial 10% of the paper, that has been taken. So my suggestion always, and I think, as an organization also, when we get into discussions with institutions, we always suggest have your own policy framework, give training to your own faculty, because even the faculty, even see, AI is used by everyone. Realizing this, I will get to it. We have designed a tool called Turnitin Clarity, which is a writing tool, which uses AI detection within AI writing assistance within it. So what happens is the student is using AI, using the AI prompt to write a paper, and then the teacher also gets full visibility as to the draft stage development of the paper. So from draft to final, it is visible to the teacher as to how the student has written the paper, how much of AI has gone in, how much has been taken from other books, copy pasted, and whatever. So because within the system it's embedded, we have embedded the software is embedded with AI. So it's AI assisted writing. We are not saying don't use AI. You cannot avoid that. It's like the calculator. See, initially it was not allowed in exams. Now it's allowed, right? You cannot avoid the calculator. You cannot avoid AI, because if everybody uses AI and will continue to use, but you can ask students to ethically use it. Secondly, see, faculty training is must. Why? Because sometimes faculty themselves are in the habit of using the AI generated tool, right? They also need to use their own creativity, and also that they can gauge. See, the moment they engage in, we have to teach them and sensitize them that engaging in conversation with students is very important. See, today, see, it's not fair if somebody gets more marks just because they've used AI and written a beautifully worded document, while another student, in the class may be very hardworking, did not use AI. Thus their writing may not be at the level of the AI generated content that you have got, but that student has worked probably double hard. So you cannot penalize a good student on account of a tool also. So I think maintaining that, maintaining fairness is very important, because that will enable you to give also fair assessments. Even that also, I think, something we need to work on to ensure that we do not, penalize people for not using AI, because it should not be that, and that's the reason why I feel that the tool is important. It will give an alert to the teacher, and the teacher can then get into a conversation with the student. And like you said, when you're talking, you can understand they don't know what they're talking about. They probably have not even read about the Gothic era. They will not know, about it. And they'll probably be very, surprised at some of the terms that you will use from the books. So I think that is important. Even for institutions, thirdly, laying out a policy is important, because unless there are some guidelines as to what can be used, how it can be used, what is required, I think it's basically knowledge sharing by the institutions, without putting in, like, okay, put it as 10% value, 15% value, but engaging with the students to framework a policy as to that, okay, fine, use AI, but then cite it, mention about it, be honest about it, and let's not penalize. Maybe change the way assessment is done. Make it more critical. Don't make it so, I think sometimes I feel that the way our summative questions, and answer system is done. I mean, it's so summative and people love detailed, long answers, especially like your subject history or literature. I think, that is something that we need to relook at. Maybe, look at the way you give them sometimes multiple choice, give them sometimes short answers, give them sometimes fill in the blanks, give them different ways of assessments, look at assessments in a different way to gauge whether, a student has actually read the subject, knows about the subject or not.
I do definitely agree with you that how we look at assessment, the criteria definitely need to change, and not just at undergraduate level or postgraduate level, but even in other higher studies and even in PhD, we have a certain preoccupation with how much the length is, how many words are there, how many chapters are there, and they do limit creativity, or they typecast it, and I feel that defeats the purpose. Uh, to my next question, as we use these detection tools in classrooms, in institutions, do you think a concern relating to student data and how it can be misused and what one should do to protect it, are these relevant concerns that one needs to keep in mind?
Uh, I would always, that's why I say that get your own detection tools, even if it's plagiarism detection. Never should do it in, we have had instances where there have been misuse, where we have one university maybe subscribing our tool and one instructor letting other students use it. And then we have had people come to us and say that, oh, when I went to publish the paper, it said 100% plagiarized. And I'm like, how did that happen? No, I submitted it at so and so university at so and so class, and what happened, they had saved it. So it's very important to have a licensed software. It's very crucial to use licensed software, because which has got security agreement, because that's a pact, especially for us, like as an organization, it's a pact we have with the institution. That's why we do not give it, we are not into B2C business. We are totally into B2B business, because we believe in that, okay, you give it, like with TFS, Turnitin Feedback Studio, instructors can actually enroll students, put in an assignment. We in fact encourage universities and colleges to allow student access of the software so that they can use it to upload their papers and check, and even like Turnitin Clarities with student access, where students can actually write it. There's a writing space to write the paper using AI assisted prompt, because I think it's very important. There is no security risk when it comes to signing up with a licensed software, and that your confidentiality is protected, everything, your database is protected. But definitely, if you're today going in for unlicensed software, or somebody subletting your software, and somebody sublicensing you and you're using it, then you are definitely putting your work at risk.
With legal frameworks like Digital India Act, which aim to strengthen accountability and data protection, how do you see such laws influencing the governance of AI in educational setting, particularly in terms of academic integrity, student data privacy, and the ethical use of AI in classrooms? Do you see them as, rays of hope, or are they more, backward looking?
See, I think I'm very happy, that Digital India is, it has been there for the past 10 years, right? It's not something new that has come about. And I think the government especially has been propagating and trying to ensure that, that India is totally digital, right? I don't see that as an hindrance, definitely. No. I think that is more to help us to be better citizens, helping us to gain better control of our data, to ensure there is security. See, lapse of, one thing you must try to understand, nothing, it's always human beings who create the problems. Okay, it is not the server which can just plunge out data. It is one particular human being, who gets into selling the data. Today, you have a lot of bank, even with the digital, so much of awareness campaign being done about fraud. We're still having people fall into the trap of getting into frauds, right? Getting their money wiped out and all. Why? Because as citizens, we need to be more vigilant, like what to share, what not to share, how to share. See, when it comes to, as I said, like our software, we know we are very protected. We know we have a security and privacy. In fact, a lot of things that, when we tell institutions that they may ask us for certain details, we cannot share when we tell them. Like sometimes one institution says, oh, can you tell us, which is the other institution that is using you? And, without their permission, we cannot share their names. We're not allowed to do that, because to us that is also privacy. Because I cannot today share, like, how much you're paying, what you're doing, what software you're using. That respect for privacy has to be there. Only if you tell me that I should share, then can I share. We always tell people that if you don't want to save it in the repository, in the global repository, please do a tick off, do not save it then. We never tell you that you save it in the global repository. We have nowadays started giving alerts when we see that there is high submission happening in one of the institution or college, which we feel is coming from different domains, which may be sometimes even going out of the country. We are actually addressing those issues. We're blocking those accounts. And when the university gets back to us and says, my so-and-so account is blocked, why did you do that? And we mention to them that, see, it's for your privacy, it's for your security. So, but ultimately, end of the day, we have to ensure that we follow certain rules, right? So I think that privacy, that security of data lies a lot with us, the consumer. I mean, that you cannot blame any software, anybody for, that, because that kind of leakage, especially multinationals, we are not allowed to sell data. We cannot purchase data. We forget about selling. We cannot even purchase data from outside. But when it comes to sharing unnecessary information, that I think even in digital India is happening because of the consumer behavior, of our habit of not yet learning where to draw the line, or the ignorance that is there probably in society.
To end on an optimistic note, please recommend some approaches or actions that government institutions, edtech providers must take to ensure that integration of AI in education remains both innovative and ethically grounded.
See, my biggest recommendation that I would give as an individual, and I'm speaking for myself over here, because the more and more I interact with institutions, and that's what I would recommend, is definitely you should have a software installed, because that will give you some guidance, which our human eye sometimes cannot detect, can be detected. Okay, of course, there's that 1% false positive that can happen, but still, at least what happens, it triggers the conversation between students and teachers. And I think my second most thing is that let's engage in conversation. Don't make it as a punishing tool. No software is supposed to be a punishing tool, be AI detection or be it plagiarism. It is it's an opportunity to engage in communication with the student. And I think lastly, I think one thing I would say is that, see, AI is inevitable, right? And it is something which is going to be there, and people will use, and it'll get more advanced with years to come. It'll be more advanced, and of course, our technology will keep on reshaping itself to keep abreast of it, right? So ethical usage is something I think we should encourage students or our academic community to for sure adhere to. And I am seriously mean it. It's after a lot of research that when we decided for Turnitin Clarity, it is because of that. We felt that, let there be a writing medium and let the teacher get visibility to the writing. See, the moment there's open communication between teachers and students, let me tell you, this will decline a lot. And it will definitely decline a lot.
I would also add that I feel there should be a AI training program for teachers, maybe for a week, two, and also for students from humanities background, there should be a 3 month or 6 month course where they learn about the tools they are inevitably going to use.
Yeah, I
And
think most institutions are having, right, some ethics courses. Some institutions, I noticed, they told me that they have some courses they've introduced for ethics and AI usage and all that stuff. So yes, it's a very good point mentioned
not
by
at
you.
the undergraduate level, and I feel like in Delhi University, I am not aware. Maybe in the IITs, at Delhi University, I'm not aware. I hope I'm wrong. I sincerely hope I'm wrong. Thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you so much for such a lovely and such an enlightening discussion.